Hello and welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to talk about Maltigo. So before we get into Maltigo, we need to talk about open source intelligence, because Maltigo in the end of the day is an open source intelligence tool. So OSINT, or open source intelligence, is actually the process of gathering information from publicly available sources. Now this information can come from a wide variety of sources, and that includes the internet, public records, media, academic publications, commercial data, or anything that's actually on the public. Now, OSINT is not just used in cybersecurity. It is actually used in law enforcement, military, and competitive intelligence between companies. But the main focus is OSINT in cybersecurity. Now, OSINT actually lies under the category of passive reconnaissance, because we have two types of reconnaissance. We've got passive reconnaissance and we've got active reconnaissance. Now, passive reconnaissance is gathering information about the target in public sources. And one of the tools that can actually help us to achieve that task is Maltigo. Now, Maltigo comes pre-built with Kali Linux, so there is no need to install it if you're using Kali Linux. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm just going to go ahead and navigate to the search and type Maltigo. So the Maltigo that comes pre-built with Kali is the commercial version of Maltigo. But don't worry, even if it's a commercial version, it can be a very powerful tool in performing OSINT. Okay, so in order for us to be familiar with the interface of Maltigo, we can actually look at the filter over here. The filter, we've got data categories, we've got access options, and we've got so many other options. But for the sake of simplicity and for the sake of this video, what we're going to be using is all. Okay, so as you can see over here, we've got Transform Hub partners. Now these Transform Hub partners actually help Maltigo in transforming an entity, and we're going to see what an entity means in a little bit, into some useful information. So for example, let's just say that we've got a domain name. We can expand that domain name into useful information regarding that domain name, such as the name servers or the email servers. But again, for the sake of this video, we're going to be using the standard transforms. Okay, so that being said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit on new. And this is going to open up a new graph. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to select an entity. Now we've got different types of entities over here. As you can see on the left, we can actually see an IP version 4 address, person, domain, website, or we can actually see a Bitcoin Cash address. And if we scroll down, we can see cryptocurrency block. So there are so many types of entities. Now, as an example, we're going to be selecting a domain. So what we can do is basically drag and drop the domain entity into the graph. And over here, if we double click, we can actually select the domain name that we want. So say, for example, that we're performing passive reconnaissance on google.com. So google.com, if we hit enter. Now, if we right-click on the domain, we can actually see the types of transforms that we can achieve. So if we expand the All Transforms tab, we can see different types of transforms. So, for example, I'd like to find the name servers associated with google.com. So if we select to DNS name, and this is going to give us the NS, or the name server associated with that domain, you can actually see that we've got 4 name servers associated with google.com. We've got ns1.google.com, ns2, ns3, and ns4. Now let's go ahead and find the email servers associated with google.com. So if we select mx, we can actually see the only name server associated with google.com, which is smtp.google.com. Now from those entities, we can actually perform extra transforms. So for instance, if we click on smtp.google.com and then just right click, and we can transform this to IP address. And this is going to give us the list of IP addresses associated with smtp.google.com. And that includes both IP version 4 addresses and IP version 6 addresses. And we could do the same thing for the name servers. And as you can see over here, we've got an IP version 4 address and we've got an IP version 6 address. Okay, so how useful can this information be? Now, performing this kind of analysis increases the attack surface, or in other words, it can actually help us in finding extra targets. So instead of targeting a website, for example, we can actually target the name servers associated with that website or the email servers associated with that website. And it doesn't actually stop here. If we right-click on google.com, we can actually find the email addresses associated with google.com. So for instance, if we hit onto email address from whoisinfo, we can actually see some email addresses associated with Google. So abuse complaints, and we've got whoisrequest. Okay, so this is one type of analysis regarding domain names. Let's go ahead and see if we can perform some analysis on a person. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control A, and then I'm going to delete everything from this graph by hitting the delete key on the keyboard. Okay, so right now what we can do is go ahead and grab a person. So for demonstration purposes, we're going to type John Doe, and we're going to be running all types of transforms on John Doe. So if we go ahead and click on this icon over here, it's going to perform all types of transforms. All right, now this panel over here is asking us about email addresses, phone numbers, or websites associated with that person. But since we don't have any right now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to click on Run. We could just dismiss that. And as you can see over here, it was able to give us all the emails associated with the person called John Doe. Now, how can this be useful? Well, it can be useful in phishing attacks, and it can also be useful in searching inside of breach directories, such as Have I Been Pawned. So since this is an example email, what we can actually do is go ahead and copy the email and then navigate to the browser and search for Have I Been Pawned. So in Have I Been Pawned, what we can actually do is just paste the email and see if this email exists in a breach directory or a breach list or something. And as you can see over here, we were able to find that this email exists in 139 data breaches and in 29 pastes. Now there's a difference between data breaches and pastes. Data breaches are mainly databases that are stolen from websites. Pastes, on the other hand, are some public information which are actually found on websites such as Pastebin. So inside of Pastebin, if we go ahead and search for the email address, we can actually see some pastes regarding this email address. And in the end of the day, this is the idea of open source intelligence, and this is how Maltigo works. And by this, we've reached the end of our video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and share this video with your friends, as this will motivate me to release more videos regarding ethical hacking and cybersecurity in general. Until the next one, see ya!